How's it going?
Good, how's it going?
Is this your office?
This is the rocket factory, the SpaceX rocket factory in Starbase, Texas.
I just want everybody in the world to hear that you said I build bigger things than you do.
You do. The data centers are very enormous.
It all started in 2016. I announced the world's first AI supercomputer,
DGX.
the DGX-1.
The most advanced computer that anyone has ever built.
It was just crickets, except for one person.
I was like,
and it was you.
That sounds like a great idea.
So I built another DGX.
Great.
And this thing is mighty. This is the new DGX Spark.
So that's the whole thing? Wow.
5 times the computational power of DGX-1. 40 watts, not 40.
40, wow.
DGX-1 to DGX Spark. It's so fun hanging out. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Starbase.
I can't wait to see my first rocket launch. It's just incredible.
We're finalizing the design of Optimus version 3. And that really is going to be a very remarkable robot. It will have essentially the manual dexterity of a human, so meaning a very complex hand. An AI mind that can navigate and comprehend reality. And it will be made in very high volume. Those are the 3 things that are missing. Like if you see any other robotics company, they're missing those 3 things. Those are the 3 really hard things. I spend actually at this point, it might be more of my mental cycles than anything else, any other single thing on Optimus. That's solving for real-world AI, all of the electromechanical issues of Optimus, the supply chain and production challenges of it, because there is no supply chain that exists for humanoid robots. So we have to recreate it from scratch, and which requires doing a lot of vertical integration. None of the actuators in Optimus are available from an existing supply chain. But I think it is accurate to say that if successful, Optimus will be the biggest product ever. I think that the marginal cost of production, once you hit 1 million units per year, is probably around the $20,000 range. It sort of depends on how much you spend on the AI chip in the robot. And you need to achieve a lot of efficiencies in the actuators. There are 26 actuators per arm, like 26 electric motors, gearboxes, and power electronics. But I think at volume, at 1 million units a year, the production cost is probably on the order of $20,000, maybe 25, something like that. And the price will be as a function of demand. Well, it turns out the human hands are they've evolved to be this incredibly sophisticated machine. Like your hand is actually a remarkable thing. Look closely at your hands. and think of all the things you can do with your hands, which is a lot.
I can think of many things. Yeah, I was just thinking about something.
Your hand's a very versatile instrument.
Yeah, you could give a high five.
Very versatile. You can swing a baseball bat. You can thread needles. You can put thread in a needle. You can play the piano with the violin. You could disassemble or assemble a car. The hands are incredibly versatile instruments. Most of the muscles of the hand are actually in the forearm. So your hand is kind of like it's like a puppet. Like it's mostly a puppet. The muscles are coming from the forearm, and they're pulling the tendons, which are also human tendon design is or human tendon evolution is incredibly good. So you've got this web of tendons. You've got, I think the human hand has something like, depending on how you count it, 27 or 28 degrees of freedom per, in the hand. It's amazing. So in order to create a robot that can be a generalized humanoid, you must solve the hands problem. Yeah. We could not actually buy the actuators for any amount of money. They simply didn't exist, even though there are, I don't know, 10, 20,000 electric motors out there of various sizes and shapes. We've had to design every electric motor, gearbox, and the controlling electronics from scratch, basically from physics first principles. Right now, we're struggling with the final design of the hardware. Like I said, it's really primarily the hand. Not to just dismiss the rest of the robot. The rest of it's also important, but the hands inclusive of the forearm are a majority of the engineering difficulty of the entire robot. Well, if you wanted to do all the things that a human can do, it turns out you need a humanoid robot. So if you want to just do a subset, that's much easier. But it turns out humans evolved to the shape and capabilities that we have for good reasons. It actually is there is like there's value to having 4 fingers and a thumb, and even the pinky actually is quite useful. Toes are a much more a question mark, but the fingers. At Tesla, we basically had 2 different chip programs, one Dojo and one Dojo on the training side, and then what we call AI4, which is our inference chip. The AI4 is currently shipping in all vehicles, and we're finalizing the design of AI5, which will be an immense jump from AI4. By some metrics, the improvement in AI5 will be 40 times better than AI4.
Wow.
So not 40%, 40 times. And this is because we work so closely at a very fine-grained level on the AI software and the AI hardware. So we know exactly where the limiting factors are. And so effectively, the AI hardware and software teams are co-designing the chip. Yeah, to be precise, the 40X is on, if you say like, compared to the worst limitation on AI4, which is running the softmax operation.
Yeah.
We currently have to run softmax in around 40 steps in emulation mode, whereas that'll just be done in a few steps natively in AI5. AI5 chip will also be easily handle mixed precision models, so you don't have it'll dynamically handle mixed precision. There's a bunch of sort of technical stuff that AI5 will do a lot better. In terms of nominal sort of raw compute, it's 8 times more compute, about 9 times more memory, roughly 5 times more memory bandwidth. But because we're addressing some core limitations in AI4, you multiply that by that 8x compute improvement by another 5x improvement because of optimization at a very fine-grained silicon level of things that are currently suboptimal in AI4. That's where you get the 40x improvement. I am confident that the current chips, AI4 chips that are in the cars, will achieve self-driving safety that is at least 2 to 3 times that of human, and maybe even 10x. And the software that will be released for that is coming out over the next few months. So version 14 will be the biggest upgrade in Tesla software since version 12. We are increasing the parameter count by an order of magnitude. There's a lot of reinforcement learning that's been used. There's there's like you can think of AI sort of as a way of compressing reality. and some of those compression steps were too lossy, and we addressed the lossiness in the compression steps. So these are all software updates that'll go out. So just over-the-air updates. Your car is going to feel like it is sentient by the end of the year. Yeah, so we're running using a lot of inference compute and reasoning to look at all of the source data, which is really the corpus of human knowledge, and then thinking about each piece of information and then adding what's missing, and correcting mistakes and removing falsehoods from that training data. So it's like if you take, say, Wikipedia as an example, but this really applies to books, PDFs, the websites, every form of information. The Grok is using heavy amounts of inference compute to look at, as an example, a Wikipedia page and say, what is true, partially true, or false, or missing in this page. Now rewrite the page to correct remove the falsehoods, correct the half-truths, and add the missing context.
Well, Elon, by the way, could you just publish that? Could we create like a Grokopedia? I mean, that would be
especially
very
for our
valuable.
bio pages,
Because
which are a
Wikipedia-
disaster.
Yeah, Wikipedia is so biased, and it's a constant war. You know, if something gets corrected, 5 minutes later, there'll be an army of people trying to. I mean, it's become hyper partisan, and there's like activists all over it. So if you do fix, for example, Wikipedia as a source of truth, it'd be great to publish that just so that the world has it.
All right, I'll talk about that. So talk to the team about that, like a Grokpedia or whatever. Here's the Grokpedia version.
It'd be interesting, yeah.
And then just have it out there for. I think there's a natural logarithmic function associated with the amount of compute. So then, like, say for argument's sake, like 10x more compute will double the intelligence. Maybe that might be a rough rule of thumb. But you know, that still means that you go from 100 IQ to 200 IQ. It's still pretty big deal. And I think we'll see intelligence continue to scale all the way up to where most of the power of the sun is harnessed for compute, and then ultimately most of the power of the galaxy. Sort of Kardashev 2, Kardashev 3 scale compute. So I guess one should think of artificial intelligence not as sort of this, a destination that you reach, but really as part of the overall escalation of intelligence that we are aware of. Human intelligence has also scaled as as the population has increased, and we've been able to store more and more information. Human intelligence has scaled. Now, because of population declines and low growth rate, human intelligence is somewhat plateauing and will actually decline. And my guess is that I think that we might have AI smarter than any single human at anything as soon as next year.
Wow.
And then probably within say 2030, probably AI is smarter than the sum of all humans.
Tesla, the company has suffered in recent months what you've called blowback. So what is your plan for turning that around, the declining sales picture? And by what stage do you think you're going to be able to turn it around?
Oh, it's already turned around.
Give me some evidence for that. I've just been looking at the sales figures for Europe in April, which show very significant declines in the big markets.
Europe is our weakest market. We're strong everywhere else. So our sales are doing well at this point. We don't anticipate any meaningful sales shortfall, and obviously the stock market recognizes that, since we're now back over $1 trillion in market cap. So clearly the market is aware of the situation. So it's already turned around.
But sales still down compared to this time last year.
In Europe.
In Europe, okay. And
yes, but that's true of all manufacturers. There's no exceptions.
Does that mean that you're not going to be able? Does that mean
European market is quite weak?
Okay, but you would acknowledge, wouldn't you, that what you are facing, okay, let's just take it as Europe, what you are facing is a significant problem. This Tesla was an incredibly aspirational brand. People identified with it, they saw it as being at the forefront of the climate crisis, and now people are driving around with stickers in their cars saying, I bought this before we knew Elon was crazy.
And there are also people who are buying it because Elon's crazy, or however they may view it. So yes, we've lost some sales perhaps on the left, but we've gained them on the right. The sales numbers at this point are strong, and we see no problem with demand.
So what do you...
And I mean, you can just look at the stock price. If you want the best inside information, the stock market analysts have that, and our stock wouldn't be trading near all-time highs if it was not, if things weren't in good shape. They're fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, tell me then how committed you are to Tesla. Do you see yourself, and are you committed to still being the chief executive of Tesla in 5 years' time?
Yes.
No doubt about that at all.
Well, no, I might die.
Okay, short of that.
I can't be CEO if I'm dead, so there's a slight amount of time.
Does that mean that the value of your pay doesn't have any bearing on your decision?
Well, that's not really a subject of discussion in this forum. I think obviously there should be compensation for, if something incredible is done, that compensation should match that something incredible was done. But I'm confident that whatever some activist posing as a judge in Delaware happens to do will not affect the future compensation.
This is the judge who twice struck down the $56 billion pay package that was awarded to you. I think the value on the current value of stock options. Yeah.
Not a judge. The activist who is cosplaying a judge in a Halloween costume.
Okay, that's your characterization. I think
yes.
On the current value of stock options, I think the actual
justice according to the law.
On the current value of stock options, I think the value of that pay package stands at about $100 billion. Are you saying you are relaxed about the value of your future pay package? Your decision to be committed to Tesla for the next 5 years, as long as you are still with us on this planet, is completely independent of pay?
No.
It's not independent. So pay is a relevant factor then to your commitment to Tesla?
A sufficient voting control such that I cannot be ousted by activist investors is what matters to me. And I've said this publicly many times. But let's not have this whole thing be a discussion of my alleged pay. It's not a money thing. It's a reasonable control thing over the future of the company, especially if we're building millions, potentially billions of humanoid robots. I can't be sitting there and wanting to get tossed out by, for political reasons, by activists. That would be unacceptable. That's all that matters. Now let's move on.
Okay.
Even though they only have about 700 cars, they obviously are on the market. They're in Beverly Hills, all over the place.
It's a proof of concept.
They've got 28 cameras. They've got LiDAR and radar. You've had a different approach. 8 to 9 cameras and the neural network. Why do you feel that is going to be the equivalent in terms of safety profile?
Oh, I think it'll be better.
Why?
Because the way that the road system is designed is for AI. It's basically, I should say, it's for intelligence, biological neural net, and eyes. That's how the whole road system is designed. So what will actually work best for the road system is artificial intelligence digital neural nets and cameras. And we also have the microphones so the car can hear emergency vehicles and that kind of thing.
Right. You are going to have the microphones to hear the
yeah, you need to hear.
That was a question. Right. You need to hear a fire engine or a police car.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
But that's how the whole road system is designed. It's not designed for shooting lasers out of your eyes. And what we found is that when you have multiple sensors, and they tend to get confused. So do you believe the camera or do you believe the LiDAR? And if you get confused, that's where you can, that's what can lead to accidents. So we used to have, for example, radar in the car, but we found that the radar and the camera would sometimes disagree, and then you don't know which one to believe.
So it wasn't about expense, it was just about...
No.
Yeah. Are you seeing the data
In fact, we turned off the radars in the cars.
You turned off the radar, yeah. So, I mean, are you comfortable right now? If I were to say to you, all right, let's go, you think that you're there in terms of the safety profile you're seeing right now?
Yeah, we could take a ride today if you want, sure.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to take a ride with you anytime you want, wherever you want. Logistics capability to operate sort of a ride-hailing fleet at scale, because you mentioned, obviously, let's call it the end of 26. Are you going to have an app? Are you there? Do you have that ability?
I think we can figure out an app. Somebody tells me.
You're not worried about it?
Tesla already has an app.
Yeah, I know. But so is there going to be a ride-hailing app you'll introduce?
How to write an app, you know, that's really not the...
It's not too hard?
No.
XAI can probably do it for you in like an hour?
Tesla can write apps just fine.
Do you ever consider licensing the technology at some point?
Yes, I mean, there are a number of major automakers that have talked to us about licensing self-driving, and we're very much open to that. I think the more we demonstrate the capability of self-driving, the more that they will want to license it, and we're happy to help.
You know, back to the safety profile, because it's going to obviously be something a key focus. Business Insider, take it for what you want, but I saw this over the weekend. They did a test between Waymo and Tesla. And they weren't critical at all.
Business Insider is not a real publication.
No, but it did seem...
They're a fake.
Regardless of whether we want to have a debate about their journalistic integrity, which I don't. The test itself, let me just share it with you and get your reaction, which was the Waymo, ultimately, they said, proved better, in part only because it avoided, with its geofencing, one very difficult intersection that the Tesla chose to go through. It stopped at a red light, but then it went through the red light. What's your reaction?
Look, I'm not going to comment on some Business Insider article.
But is that a concern at all? Because in a way, there's no geofencing, so it's like it's happy to go on the highways in a way that perhaps a Waymo's not. I guess my question is that a concern at all for you in terms of it encountering things that are still sort of a crucial test and perhaps it fails?
No, first of all, that actually should have been a test of supervised self-driving, supervised self-driving, not unsupervised self-driving. So the assumption there is that you have a person who is going to take over.
Right.
So their test made no sense.
Okay.
When we deploy the cars in Austin, we are actually going to deploy it not to the entire Austin region, but only to the parts of Austin that we consider to be the safest. So we will geofence it.
You will?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
It's not going to take intersections unless we are highly confident it's going to do well with that intersection. It'll just take a route around that intersection.
But there won't be a safety driver in the car.
Correct.
Right, the car, there's not going to be somebody sitting there.